The complete works of Shakespeare? Well, perhaps not. Professor Breen Hammond of the University of Nottingham in England believes that there is probably at least one omission from such a collection. Could this mean that there is a lost Shakespeare play?
Yes, there is. It's called Double Falsehood. It was produced on the 18th century stage by one Lewis Theobald, or Tybald, who claimed that he had 3 manuscript copies of an earlier play by Shakespeare. Now, quite independently of that, we know that Shakespeare, in collaboration with John Fletcher, had produced a play called Cardenio, or Cardenio, which was performed in 1612 or 1613. The Double Falsehood by Lewis Tybald appears to be a version of that earlier play.
Reference to a Shakespeare play, probably written in collaboration with John Fletcher and called Cardenna or Cardino, appears in the King's Treasurer's accounts for 20th of May and 8th of June 1613, recording payments to the actor John Hemmings. This suggests that a play based on the Cardenio story from Don Quixote was performed twice at court at the latter end of the 1612-1613 theatrical season. In the latter part of his career, Shakespeare collaborated with Fletcher on 2 known plays, Henry VIII and The Two Noble Kinsmen. Confirmation that the lost Cardenio play was another such collaboration can be found in the Stationer's Register for 9th of September 1653, made by the bookseller-publisher Humphrey Moseley. Among a list of play texts recorded as Moseley's own property, there's a reference to the history of Cardenio by Mr. Fletcher and Shakespeare.
I've discovered some material in Oxford that suggests that the publisher Jacob Tonson bought the Humphrey Moseley copyrights in 1718. So in 1718 something is still kicking around. In 1727 we get Lewis Tybald presenting the play to an unsuspecting public. The public's impressed. The early reception of the play is very positive. Lewis Tybald is riding the crest of a wave.
Tybald's Double Falsehood opened at the Drury Lane Theatre on the 13th of December 1727. This was also based on the Cardenio story from Don Quixote, and Tybald claimed it as a contemporary adaptation of a lost original by William Shakespeare. Though there are no independent records of the manuscripts he claimed to have for the Shakespeare play, he clearly believed he held a valuable property, going to the trouble of obtaining a royal licence. So why are so few people aware of this play?
It's come to attention at various times. Scholars have paid some attention to it in the 20th century, but I think the prevailing view has perhaps been that this is a hoax or a forgery. What perhaps is new is that we, along with the Arden Shakespeare series, are regarding this and trying to show that it is a genuine Shakespearean relic with bardic provenance. So we haven't dismissed it, and we are looking to see what evidence we can find for its authenticity.
Professor Hammond believes that although Double Falsehood is heavily adapted for its 18th century audience, there is language in the text that predates this and shows evidence of being Shakespeare or collaboration between Shakespeare and Fletcher. This, coupled with the previous evidence, leads him to believe that Double Falsehood could well be the link to Shakespeare's lost play. If so, what has happened to Tybald's original manuscripts?
There are newspaper reports which date from 1770, which say that the manuscripts are, quote, treasured up, unquote, in the Covent Garden Theatre Museum. The Covent Garden Theatre, an ancestor building of the present Royal Opera House, had a library or museum where it kept valuable literary properties. And in 1770, it seemed to be worth treasuring this up in that museum. Regrettably, however, in the year 1808, that particular Covent Garden Theatre building burnt down.
So, do the last remnants of Shakespeare's lost play lie in the dust below London's Royal Opera House? It would seem likely. But then, Tybald did claim to have 3 copies. Perhaps the other 2 are still out there somewhere. For Professor Breen Hammond, the hunt goes on.